They vanished in silence, swallowed by water, lost to sand, or buried by time. Cities that once pulsed with life now lie abandoned, forgotten, or denied to have ever existed at all. But the earth remembers, and sometimes it whispers. In this video, we journey into the most chilling stories of humanity's lost cities. Some are myths, some are rediscovered ruins, others remain unexplained. From the thunder of collapsing empires to a single word carved in wood, these are the whispers of lost cities. And before we get into the video, the images in this video are only for visualization and are not real historical photographs. This video is perfect for listening to while you study, work, relax, or drift off to sleep. High in the Andean mountains of Bolivia, nearly 12,000 feet above sea level, there lies a place both haunting and magnificent. A city of stone, a city of silence, a city called Tiwaniku. This is not where most would build a city. The air is thin, cold, and dry. The winds sweep across a flat, treeless plain called the Altiplano, which stretches like a frozen ocean under the blazing sun and bitter night. But here, nearly 2 millennia ago, an ancient people raised monuments that continue to puzzle modern engineers, archaeologists, and astronomers alike. Tiwaniku is not just old, it's ancient beyond reckoning. Some believe it was founded as early as 1500 BCE. Others suggest it's even older, far older, built by an unknown civilization that vanished long before the Incas ever rose to power. A people whose names we do not know, a culture whose words we cannot read. There are no written records, no books, no scrolls, no carved messages left behind. All that remains is stone. But what stone? Tiwaniku's enduring legacy is etched into its megalithic architecture, a testament to the ingenuity and skill of its builders. The Gateway of the Sun, Puerta del Sol, perhaps its most iconic structure, stands as a symbol of this lost civilization. Carved from a single, massive block of andesite, this gateway features intricate bas-reliefs, including a central figure, often interpreted as the creator god Viracocha, flanked by winged figures and calendar-like symbols. The precision of the carvings and the sheer scale of the stone are awe-inspiring, prompting questions about the tools and techniques used to create it. The Colosseum, a large rectangular enclosed courtyard, is another significant structure. Its massive walls, constructed from precisely fitted stone blocks, once enclosed a sacred space. Within the Colosseum, archaeologists have discovered various artifacts, including the Ponce monolith, a large carved stone statue, and evidence of sophisticated drainage systems. The alignment of the Colosseum with the solstices and equinoxes suggests its importance in astronomical observations and religious ceremonies. The Akapana, a stepped pyramid, dominates the Tiwaniku landscape. Originally faced with stone, the Akapana may have served as a temple or a ceremonial platform. Its interior contains a complex system of channels and reservoirs, possibly used for water management or ritual purposes. The Akapana's construction involved moving enormous quantities of earth and stone, highlighting the organizational capacity of the Tiwaniku people. Other notable structures include the Pumapunku, a complex of massive stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons. The Pumapunku's precise cut and fitted stones with their intricate joints and smooth surfaces have baffled modern engineers. The purpose of the Pumapunku remains debated, but it was likely a significant ceremonial center. The semi-subterranean temple is another enigmatic site, featuring carved stone heads embedded in its walls. These heads, with their diverse facial features, may represent different ethnic groups or deities. The sheer scale of the stones used in Tiwaniku is astonishing. Quarried from distant locations, some blocks weigh dozens of tons, transported across challenging terrain. How the Tiwaniku people achieved this feat without the wheel or advanced tools remains a subject of intense speculation. Theories range from the use of ramps and rollers to the mobilization of large workforces. Their precise stonework, with perfectly fitted blocks that often required no mortar, further defies easy explanation, showcasing a mastery of stone cutting and construction techniques that rivals those of ancient Egypt or Rome. The origins of the Tiwaniku civilization are shrouded in mystery. Some researchers believe that the city was founded as early as 1500 BCE. Others propose even earlier dates, suggesting that Tiwaniku may have been built by a civilization that predates the Incas by thousands of years. This pre-Inca theory challenges conventional archaeological timelines and raises questions about the transmission of knowledge and technology in the ancient Andes. The sudden decline of Tiwaniku around 1000 CE is as perplexing as its rise. After centuries of dominance, the city was abruptly abandoned, its population dispersed. Numerous theories attempt to explain this collapse. Climate change, particularly a prolonged drought, may have undermined the city's agricultural base. Internal social upheaval, perhaps caused by overpopulation or resource depletion, could have also contributed to its downfall. Some researchers suggest that invasions from neighboring groups may have played a role, though evidence of warfare is limited. Whatever the cause, the demise of Tiwaniku marked the end of a remarkable cultural and political experiment. Its legacy, however, endured. The Tiwaniku style of art and architecture influenced later Andean cultures, including the Inca. The city's sophisticated agricultural techniques, such as raised fields, sukakoyu, allowed for intensive farming in a challenging environment. Tiwaniku's religious beliefs, centered on deities like Viracocha, may have been adopted by subsequent civilizations. Today, Tiwaniku stands as a silent testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the human spirit. Its enigmatic ruins continue to inspire wonder and speculation, prompting us to ponder the mysteries of the past and the enduring power of stone. The city's legacy is not just in its physical remains, but also in the questions it raises about the origins and development of civilization in the Americas. As we explore its ancient stones, we are reminded of the vastness of human history and the many lost worlds that lie waiting to be rediscovered.
Far away in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, nestled within the sprawling group of islands known as Micronesia, lies a place that defies conventional understanding. This enigma, situated just off the coast of Pohnpei, is a testament to an ancient past that continues to baffle experts and spark the imagination. Madol. The Venice of the Pacific, an impossible city. Madol isn't just an ancient city, it's a city built on water, a marvel of engineering that predates modern technology by centuries. Imagine more than 100 artificial islands, meticulously constructed by human hands, rising from a vibrant coral reef. These islands are not haphazardly placed, but are interconnected by a labyrinthine network of water canals serving as aquatic thoroughfares. This intricate design has earned it the evocative moniker, the Venice of the Pacific. Yet, unlike its Italian counterpart, the origins and methods behind Nan Madol's construction remain shrouded in profound mystery. Stones, sorcery, and unanswered questions. The very fabric of Nan Madol is composed of colossal black basalt stones, each weighing several tons, some as heavy as modern-day cars or even small trucks. These massive geological formations were carefully stacked one upon another, forming imposing walls that emerge directly from the ocean's embrace. Astoundingly, no mortar, cement, or binding agent was used. The sheer precision of their placement has kept them standing for centuries. Some of these walls soar over 25 feet high and are as wide as a small house, a staggering feat of construction. But herein lies the most perplexing riddle: how were these stones moved? The builders of Nan Madol lived in an era without cranes, pulleys, wheels, or any form of advanced machinery. They left behind no written records, no architectural blueprints, no carvings detailing their methods. The logistics of transporting such immense rocks across water, fashioning artificial islands, and then stacking these gargantuan blocks with perfect balance seems an almost insurmountable task, even with the aid of contemporary tools and engineering knowledge. Whispers of magic and myth. Perhaps the most captivating explanation for Nan Madol's existence lies within the local legends passed down through generations on Pohnpei. These indigenous tales speak of two extraordinary brothers, twin sorcerers who journeyed from a distant land. These were no ordinary men. They possessed potent magical abilities. According to the lore, they didn't rely on brute force or rudimentary tools. Instead, they flew the gigantic stones through the air, guiding them with mystical spells and gently setting them into their designated places. In these stories, Nan Madol was not a product of earthly labor, but a testament to supernatural power and ancient sorcery. The heart of a dynasty, the Saudelar era. Over time, Nan Madol transcended its mysterious origins to become more than just an enigmatic city. It evolved into the pulsing heart of power for the entire region. It served as the formidable capital of the Saudelar dynasty, a lineage of rulers believed to possess divine power, chosen by the gods themselves to govern. For hundreds of years, the Saudelar kings exerted absolute control over every facet of life. They dictated religious practices, managed food distribution, and even determined where their subjects could reside. Their authority was so absolute that people were compelled to transport food offerings to Nan Madol by canoe, a ritualistic demonstration of their submission. While the common folk lived in humble huts, the Saudelar elite resided in grand stone houses, a stark visual representation of their immense wealth, unparalleled power, and the fear they instilled in their subjects. However, as history often teaches, no power lasts forever. The reasons for the Saudelar dynasty's decline remain somewhat obscure, but oral traditions suggest a transformation in their rule. The stories whisper of the Saudelar becoming increasingly cruel and unjust, their tyranny slowly eroding the faith and loyalty of their people. The eventual catalyst for their downfall arrived in the form of Isokelekel, a foreign warrior who ventured across the vast sea. He boldly challenged the reigning Saudelar rulers, leading a decisive and monumental battle that ultimately brought an end to their long reign. With the dynasty's collapse, Nan Madol was abandoned, its grand structures gradually relinquished to the relentless embrace of nature. A haunting silence and enduring mysteries. Today, Nan Madol sits in a profound silence, a ghostly echo of its former grandeur. The dense jungle relentlessly creeps in, its tendrils and vines weaving over and through the ancient stones. Fish glide silently through the very canals that once bustled with canoes bearing tribute. Parts of the once proud city are slowly succumbing to the encroaching sea, a testament to the passage of time and the relentless forces of erosion. The site remains challenging to access, and even more challenging to comprehend fully. Many locals and visitors alike believe the city is haunted, not necessarily by conventional spirits, but by the pervasive and undeniable mystery of what once was. Some speak of an ancient power that still lingers within its moss-covered walls. Others caution against lingering after dusk, intuiting an unsettling atmosphere that descends with the setting sun. Even modern scientists and historians, armed with advanced research methods, remain largely at a loss. The fundamental questions persist. Who truly built Madol? Why was such an ambitious city constructed on water? How were those massive stones transported and meticulously placed? Was it solely the product of human ingenuity and immense labor, or do the local legends hold a deeper, more mystical truth? Madol endures, a solemn, silent sentinel. It stands as a haunting, tangible reminder of a powerful, enigmatic civilization that rose to prominence and then, inexplicably, faded into the annals of time. The city is quiet now, its once vibrant pulse long stilled. But its profound secrets, still held within its ancient stones and whispered by the ocean breeze, continue to beckon, inviting contemplation and wonder.
Petra is not lost, but it is full of secrets. When you first hear the name Petra, you might picture a hidden city, buried by sand and time, forgotten by the world. And once, that was true. For many years, Petra was unknown to outsiders. Locals knew of it, but it didn't appear on maps. Travelers walked past without ever knowing the wonder that lay just beyond the cliffs. But today, Petra is one of the most famous ancient cities in the world. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Every year, thousands of visitors walk through its narrow stone canyon and step into a place unlike anywhere else on Earth. Even though Petra is no longer lost, it still holds many secrets. Secrets carved into its red and pink sandstone walls, whispered by the wind through its tombs and temples. It's like a giant puzzle left behind by a people long gone. Petra was not built like most cities. It wasn't made by stacking bricks or building with wood and metal. Instead, it was carved directly into the rock. Imagine taking solid cliffs and slowly, carefully shaping them into buildings. That's what the Nabateans did. The Nabateans were the people who created Petra. They lived over 2,000 years ago, and Petra was their capital. To them, it was not just a home, it was a masterpiece. They carved huge temples, tombs, and homes straight out of the mountain. The most famous is the treasury, or Al-Hazna. It looks like something from a movie, because it is. You may recognize it from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. But the real story is even more amazing than fiction. Think about it. People with no modern machines shaped entire buildings with simple tools and a lot of patience. They worked for years, chipping away stone, smoothing it, and carving tiny details by hand. And they didn't just build 1 or 2 structures, they built an entire city. The Nabateans were not just builders. They were smart, skilled, and full of ideas ahead of their time. First, they were expert traders. Their city sat at the center of important trade routes that connected the East and West. Caravans came from Arabia, Egypt, India, and beyond, carrying spices, silk, incense, gold, and other treasures. The Nabateans grew wealthy by controlling this trade. Petra became a busy marketplace, filled with goods, languages, and ideas from faraway lands. But trade was only part of their genius. Petra is in the desert. It doesn't rain much. Water is hard to find. But the Nabateans solved this problem in a way that still impresses engineers today. They built a smart system of pipes, channels, dams, and underground water tanks. They collected rainwater and guided it across the city, storing it for dry times. This let them grow gardens, wash, cook, and even survive during long dry seasons. They didn't waste a single drop. Petra is not only smart, it's beautiful.
The red and pink cliffs shine in the sun. The carvings on the walls are full of Greek, Roman, and Arab styles, mixed in a way that feels both familiar and completely new. You can see columns like in ancient Athens, but they're part of a desert city, carved from a mountain. And there's more than just the treasury. The monastery, or aldir, is even bigger. The royal tombs stretch high into the cliffs. There's an amphitheater, temples, and countless homes and caves. The narrow entrance to the city, called the Sikh, is a winding path between tall stone walls. At times, it's just wide enough for a single person or cart. It helped protect the city from attack and created an unforgettable entrance. Walking through Petra feels like stepping into another world, one built by hands that understood art, nature, and engineering all at once. Then, something happened. The Nabateans vanished. Unlike other ancient empires that fell in battle or were taken over by enemies, the Nabateans left few clues behind. There's no big war, no record of a great collapse. They simply faded away. Historians believe earthquakes damaged Petra's water systems. Trade routes changed and Petra lost its importance. Without water or trade, people slowly left. The city became empty. Sand and time covered its secrets. For over 1,000 years, Petra was forgotten by the world. It was rediscovered in 1812 by a Swiss explorer named Johann Burckhardt, who had to dress as a local and pretend to make a religious offering just to get inside. What he saw amazed him and amazed the world. Unanswered questions. Even now, many mysteries remain. Why did the Nabateans carve so many tombs, yet leave behind so few bones? How did they learn to move and store water so well in such a dry place? Why are there no long written records from them? No books, no scrolls? Were their buildings just for the living? Or were they also built for spirits or gods? Petra is filled with stories we still don't understand. Even the treasury has legends around it. Local people once believed it held treasure from a lost king protected by powerful spirits called jinn. That's why the building has bullet marks on it. People once tried to shoot the urn at the top, hoping gold would fall out. Today, Petra stands as a symbol of human greatness. It shows us what people can do with time, vision, and creativity, even in the middle of the desert. It is a reminder that knowledge can be lost and rediscovered, that beauty can survive even after its builders are gone. But Petra is not done telling its story. It's still full of questions, still full of secrets. And maybe, one day, we'll learn just a little bit more.
Before Atlantis became legend, there was Helike, a name now echoing faintly through the annals of history, often overshadowed by its more famous, perhaps entirely fictional, successor. Yet the tale of Helike is no mere philosophical exercise or cautionary fable spun by ancient thinkers. It is a stark and unsettling reality, a tangible loss etched into the geological record and whispered in the fragmented texts of antiquity. It serves as a potent reminder that even the most vibrant and influential centers of civilization are not immune to the sudden and brutal forces of nature. In the summer of 373 BCE, the world as the inhabitants of the Achaean League knew it shifted irrevocably. The very ground beneath their feet, usually a source of stability and permanence, betrayed them. The earth trembled with a violence that likely had no precedent in living memory. Buildings groaned, walls cracked, and the very foundations of their lives seemed to buckle and sway. This initial shock was terrifying enough, but it was merely the prelude to a far greater and more devastating catastrophe. As the tremors subsided, a new horror unfolded. The sea, the lifeblood of this maritime region, the source of trade, sustenance, and connection to the wider Hellenic world, began to behave with unnatural ferocity. Instead of its rhythmic ebb and flow, it surged forward, an inexorable wall of water rising with terrifying speed. The low-lying coastal plain upon which Helike proudly stood offered no defense against this liquid onslaught. The city, a bustling hub of commerce and culture, renowned for its sanctuary of Poseidon, the very god of the sea, was about to face the ultimate irony. In what must have been a scene of unimaginable chaos and terror, the surging waters crashed into Helike, not as gentle waves, but as a destructive force, swallowing homes, temples, marketplaces, and the desperate cries of its inhabitants. The disaster was swift, brutal, and seemingly absolute. In a single day and night, the vibrant city of Helike was utterly annihilated, submerged beneath the relentless waves of the Gulf of Corinth, vanishing from the face of the earth as if it had never been. For centuries that followed, Helike faded from clear historical memory, its fate relegated to the realm of myth and legend. Unlike other sunken cities that might leave visible remnants near the shore, Helike was believed to be a fabrication, a tragic story perhaps exaggerated or entirely invented over time. Yet the echoes of its existence persisted in unexpected ways. Local fishermen, casting their nets in the Gulf of Corinth, would sometimes speak of strange shapes glimpsed in the clear depths below, the faint outlines of submerged structures, and even more tantalizingly, the glint of bronze, perhaps from long-lost statues, standing silently in their watery graves. These tales, often dismissed as folklore, held a kernel of truth that would not be revealed for centuries. The late 20th century marked a turning point in the long silence of Helike. Driven by historical curiosity and armed with modern diving technology, archaeological expeditions ventured into the Gulf of Corinth, determined to either confirm or definitively dispel the lingering legends. And in the 1990s, after years of painstaking searching and careful excavation, their efforts were rewarded with a monumental discovery. Beneath layers of silt and sediment, preserved in the embrace of the sea, lay the tangible remains of Helike. The lost city was found. It had been real all along. The implications of this discovery were profound. Helike was not just a story, it was a historical reality. A prosperous Achaean city that had met a sudden and catastrophic end, much like the legendary Atlantis described by Plato. This striking parallel immediately ignited scholarly debate. Could it be that the real-life tragedy of Helike, a well-documented event in ancient Greek history, had served as a primary inspiration for Plato's narrative of Atlantis? Both were clearly advanced and influential urban centers within the ancient Greek world. Both suffered swift and devastating destruction. Both seemingly vanished overnight, swallowed by the power of the earth and the sea. The similarities were too compelling to ignore. However, unlike the grand and far-reaching empire of Atlantis, Helike's known influence was primarily within the Achaean League. Yet its sudden and complete erasure from the landscape could have deeply impacted the collective consciousness of the ancient Greeks, leaving a lasting impression that might have been embellished and transformed over generations, eventually finding its way into Plato's philosophical dialogues. Furthermore, Helike harbored its own set of enduring mysteries, adding another layer of intrigue to its tragic fate. Ancient texts, though fragmented, spoke with a chilling certainty of the city being utterly devoid of survivors. This detail is particularly unsettling. Natural disasters, even devastating ones, often leave behind pockets of survivors who can recount the events. The complete absence of any recorded survivors from Helike suggests a catastrophe of unimaginable finality. Some ancient writers even attributed the city's destruction to a curse levied by the gods, perhaps in response to some sacrilege or perceived hubris. While such explanations were common in the ancient world, they underscored the profound sense of awe and terror that Helike's demise evoked. Adding to the eerie atmosphere surrounding its memory were local legends that persisted for centuries after its disappearance. These tales spoke of strange ethereal ghost lights flickering over the surface of the Gulf of Corinth, marking the watery grave of the lost city. Whether these were natural phenomena misinterpreted through the lens of grief and legend, or something more mysterious, they contributed to the deep entombment of Helike's memory within a shroud of myth and superstition. In the grand narrative of lost civilizations, Helike stands as a tangible counterpoint to the enduring enigma of Atlantis. While Atlantis remains shrouded in the mists of philosophical debate and unproven theories, Helike offers a concrete example of a prosperous city swallowed by the unforgiving forces of nature, its memory nearly lost to the relentless currents of time and the sea. Helike whispers to us across the millennia, hinting at the real-world catastrophes that might lie at the heart of even the most enduring and captivating legends. It suggests that the enduring power of the Atlantis myth may not stem solely from Plato's philosophical imagination, but from a deeply ingrained human awareness of the fragility of civilization and the ever-present threat of sudden and irreversible loss, a truth tragically and definitively embodied by the real lost city of Greece. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the fertile floodplains of the Mississippi River, not too far from where the modern city of St. Louis now sprawls. But instead of skyscrapers and bustling highways, you would be gazing upon something truly extraordinary around 1050 AD, the magnificent city of Cahokia. This wasn't merely a large settlement. It was a pulsating heart of a sophisticated civilization, an urban marvel in ancient North America that, in its prime, would have dwarfed many European cities of the same era. Its sheer size and complexity would have been a breathtaking sight for any traveler. Consider the demographics. At its zenith, the population of Cahokia soared to an estimated 20,000, perhaps even reaching 40,000 people in the greater metropolitan area. To truly grasp the scale, consider that in 1250, London, a burgeoning center of medieval Europe, likely had a population somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000. So, on this continent, often erroneously portrayed as empty before European arrival, a city thrived that was not just comparable, but potentially larger and arguably more meticulously planned than many of its Old World counterparts. This wasn't just a collection of huts. It was a thriving, organized, and culturally rich urban center, a true testament to the ingenuity and cooperative spirit of the Mississippian people. At the very soul of Cahokia stood Monk's Mound, an engineering feat that still inspires awe today. This isn't just a hill. It's a monumental, man-made pyramid of earth, meticulously shaped and layered over generations. Imagine the collective effort. Countless individuals organized into work gangs, meticulously digging, transporting, and compacting millions of cubic feet of soil using only baskets and simple tools. It's estimated to contain over 22 million cubic feet of earth, enough to fill 2,000 large railroad cars. This wasn't just physical labor. It represented a profound communal undertaking, a shared vision driven by powerful leadership. Perched atop this colossal platform mound, it's believed a grand temple, or perhaps the residence of the city's paramount chief, would have dominated the skyline, visible for miles. From this vantage point, the rulers of Cahokia could survey their entire domain, a vast network of smaller mounds, plazas, residential areas, and agricultural fields stretching to the horizon. It was a clear symbol of power, faith, and the collective identity of the Cahokian people. But Cahokia's grandeur extended far beyond Monk's Mound. The entire city was laid out with a remarkable degree of foresight and astronomical awareness. There were at least 120 other mounds within the city and its immediate vicinity, ranging in size and purpose. Some were platform mounds like Monk's Mound, supporting other important structures. Others were conical or ridge-top mounds, likely serving as burial sites for elites, laden with grave goods that speak to a stratified society and elaborate funerary rituals. The central ceremonial precinct was carefully oriented to cardinal directions, reflecting a deep understanding of geography and perhaps even a symbolic connection to the cosmos. Imagine walking through the city streets. You would have seen bustling plazas where ceremonies, markets, and social gatherings took place. There were distinct residential areas, perhaps organized by kin groups or specialized crafts. The houses themselves, while not built of stone, were substantial, timber-frame structures with wattle and daub walls and thatched roofs designed to provide comfort and shelter. The Cahokians were not just builders, they were skilled artisans. Archaeological finds reveal intricate pottery, often decorated with symbolic motifs, finely crafted tools of stone and bone, and exquisite objects made from marine shell and native copper traded from distant lands. These artifacts tell us of extensive trade networks stretching across the continent, connecting Cahokia to communities hundreds, even thousands of miles away, bringing in valuable resources and cultural influences. And their connection to the celestial realm was profound. Beyond their practical mastery of agriculture, they were keen observers of the heavens. The famous Woodhenge, a series of large timber circles positioned to mark solstices and equinoxes, stands as undeniable proof of their sophisticated astronomical knowledge. This wasn't just a hobby, it was integral to their very way of life. The precise tracking of the sun's movements would have guided their planting and harvesting seasons, their ceremonial cycles, and reinforced the authority of their leaders, who likely served as intermediaries between the earthly and celestial realms. Their calendar, while not written, was a living, breathing system of knowledge passed down through generations, tying their earthly existence to the rhythms of the cosmos. Yet with all this incredible evidence of their complex society and profound achievements, the people of Cahokia, like many other great North American civilizations, left no written records in the conventional sense. This absence of hieroglyphics, cuneiform, or alphabets means that their voices, their stories, their myths, and their direct explanations of their history remain largely silent to us. We cannot read their king lists, their epic poems, their administrative decrees, or their philosophical treatises. This is why Cahokia remains such an enduring enigma. We are left to piece together their narrative from the silent testimony of the earth itself, the remnants of their buildings, their tools, their burials, and the very layout of their city. Each archaeological dig is like unearthing a single precious sentence from a vast, unwritten book. And then comes the haunting question that echoes through the annals of history. What led to the abandonment of this magnificent city? Why did a civilization so seemingly powerful and well-established eventually dwindle and disperse? This is where the speculative layers of history become the thickest, where theories intertwine like the ancient roots of the trees that now cover the mounds. Was it a dramatic shift in climate? Imagine prolonged droughts, making it impossible to sustain their vast maize crops, leading to famine and desperation. Or perhaps devastating floods from the mighty Mississippi, inundating their fields and homes, forcing mass migration. A significant change in weather patterns, even subtle ones over decades, could have tipped the delicate balance of their agricultural society. Could it have been resource exhaustion? A city of 20,000 to 40,000 people, even with sustainable practices, places immense demands on its environment. Massive deforestation would have been necessary for timber for construction, fuel, and clearing agricultural land. This deforestation could have led to soil erosion, reduced biodiversity, and made the land less productive. Overhunting of local game could have depleted food sources. The continual need for raw materials for their crafts and tools would have put pressure on local quarries and mines. And we cannot discount the role of external pressures. While Cahokia was dominant for centuries, the regional political landscape was not static. Perhaps increasing competition or conflicts with neighboring Mississippian chiefdoms, or even more distant groups, put a strain on Cahokia's resources and manpower, eventually forcing its inhabitants to disperse to smaller, more sustainable communities, taking their knowledge and cultural traditions with them, but leaving behind the grand heart of their civilization to slowly be reclaimed by nature. Its story became literally buried.
Over centuries, the grand plazas became overgrown fields, the houses collapsed into earthen mounds, and the very memory of the bustling city faded into the mists of time for those who later occupied the land. It was as if the earth itself gently enveloped and preserved the secrets of Cahokia. For a long time, early European settlers and later American farmers saw only natural hills, unaware that beneath their feet lay the remnants of a true indigenous metropolis. This makes Cahokia a profoundly moving and pivotal part of the American narrative, a lost American civilization hiding in plain sight. It challenges outdated notions of what pre-Columbian North America was like, revealing a landscape of complex societies, sophisticated urban planning, and intricate cultural achievements that rivaled those of other parts of the world. Each new archaeological discovery at Cahokia is like pulling back another veil, allowing us to glimpse the vibrant life and ultimate mystery of a people who shaped this land long before written history began in this region. Their story, though silent in words, speaks volumes through the earth itself, urging us to listen and learn from the triumphs and eventual challenges of this forgotten American empire. And as we continue to unearth its secrets, we are reminded of the fragility of even the greatest civilizations and the enduring power of human ingenuity.
Deep in the vast, unforgiving Rub al-Khali desert, the empty quarter of Arabia, legends whispered of a city that vanished beneath the sand, a city so rich and decadent it angered the heavens. This was Ubar, also called Iram of the Pillars, immortalized in ancient Islamic texts and often referred to as the Atlantis of the sands. For centuries, Ubar was thought to be mere myth, a tale told by nomads and passed down through Quranic verses and Arabian folklore. According to the legends, Ubar was a powerful trade hub, a gleaming metropolis of wealth and excess built on the back of the frankincense trade. Frankincense, a highly prized aromatic resin, was more valuable than gold in ancient times, used in religious ceremonies, perfumes, and medicines across the ancient world, from Egypt to Rome. Ubar's strategic location at the crossroads of ancient trade routes, connecting the frankincense-producing regions of Dhofar, modern-day Oman, with the bustling markets of Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean, ensured its immense prosperity. Towering pillars, perhaps indicative of grand architectural achievements or even natural rock formations that lent themselves to such a description, were said to line its streets, and caravans carrying incense, spices, precious stones, and other exotic goods would stretch endlessly across the horizon, testament to its economic might. But the city's pride became its downfall. The people of Ubar, consumed by greed and arrogance, allegedly turned away from divine guidance, engaging in moral transgressions and defying the warnings of prophets. In punishment, it said that a great catastrophe struck. The earth opened up, and the entire city was swallowed whole, disappearing into the desert without a trace. This narrative, often found in Islamic tradition, draws parallels to other ancient cities believed to have faced divine retribution for their wickedness, emphasizing a moral lesson about humility and obedience. For centuries, no one could prove it ever existed, solidifying its status as a tantalizing enigma. The harsh environment of the Rub al-Khali, one of the largest and most desolate sand deserts in the world, further ensured that any physical traces would remain hidden and inaccessible. That changed in the 1990s, when modern technology offered a new lens through which to peer into the past. Utilizing advanced remote sensing techniques, including NASA Space Shuttle Imaging Radar, SIRA and SIRB, and Landsat satellite imagery, researchers began to identify ancient caravan routes. What these images revealed was a network of well-worn,
almost imperceptible tracks converging at a single point deep in the Dhofar region of Oman. This convergence point in an area known as Shisr became the focus of intense archaeological interest. In 1992, an expedition led by Nicholas Clapp, an amateur archaeologist, along with professional archaeologists Joris Zarens and Ronald Blum, commenced excavations at Shisr. What they uncovered was remarkable: collapsed structures, a large limestone fortress, and crucially, a massive sinkhole. This sinkhole, measuring approximately 120 by 60 meters, showed clear evidence of having swallowed parts of the ancient settlement. The sudden collapse, potentially due to the erosion of underground limestone caverns by groundwater over millennia, offered a plausible scientific explanation for the catastrophic end described in the legends. Some archaeologists, including Zarens, believe these ruins at Shisr match the location and description of the legendary city of Ubar, suggesting that the fortress served as a central trading post or even the heart of the fabled city. The discovery of numerous artifacts, including pottery from various ancient civilizations, further supported its role as a significant trade hub. Still, many mysteries remain, fueling ongoing academic debate and public fascination. Was Ubar a singular, grand city, as depicted in some narratives, or was Iram of the Pillars a broader term referring to a network of interconnected settlements and trade outposts that thrived on the frankincense trade? The archaeological evidence at Shisr points to a fortified settlement rather than a sprawling metropolis, leading some to suggest that the legend may have embellished the true scale of the city. Furthermore, was its demise truly wrought by divine wrath, or did more mundane, albeit equally powerful, forces cause its fall? The sinkhole theory provides a geological explanation, but the abandonment of the area could also have been precipitated by the shifting sands of the desert, which could bury wells and make routes impassable, or by the overuse of precious water resources in an already arid environment. The decline of the frankincense trade itself, due to changing political landscapes or economic shifts, could also have contributed to Ubar's eventual abandonment. The truth is buried beneath centuries of sand, where myth and archaeology blur into one. The story of Ubar continues to captivate, serving as a powerful reminder of the ephemeral nature of human endeavors against the backdrop of an unforgiving natural world. It exemplifies how ancient legends, once dismissed as mere folklore, can sometimes hold grains of historical truth, waiting to be unearthed by perseverance and the application of modern scientific methods. The Atlantis of the Sands remains a testament to the enduring power of human imagination and the tantalizing allure of lost civilizations, forever whispering its secrets from the depths of the empty quarter.
The story of the Roanoke colony stands as a stark and enduring mystery in the annals of American history. In 1587, over 100 English men, women, and children embarked on a perilous journey across the Atlantic, their hearts filled with dreams of a new life on the shores of what would become North Carolina. Led by Governor John White, they established a settlement on Roanoke Island, a fragile outpost in a vast and often hostile wilderness. Yet when White returned 3 years later, the colony had vanished, leaving behind only a haunting silence and a single cryptic word, Croatoan. This seemingly impossible disappearance has captivated imaginations for centuries, spawning countless theories and solidifying Roanoke's place as America's first and most perplexing unsolved mystery. Imagine Roanoke Island in the late 16th century, a verdant, low-lying land fringed by sandy beaches and shrouded in a humid, often oppressive heat. Dense maritime forests of pine, oak, and cypress covered much of the interior, teeming with wildlife both familiar and strange to the English settlers.
The air was thick with the scent of salt, decaying vegetation, and the rich, loamy earth. For the newcomers, the beauty of the land was intertwined with a sense of isolation and vulnerability. The nearest established English colonies were far to the north, and the island itself, while offering potential for sustenance, also presented challenges: unpredictable weather, brackish water sources, and the constant awareness of being on land inhabited by indigenous tribes whose intentions were not always clear. The settlers, a mix of skilled artisans, hopeful farmers, and ambitious adventurers, set about the arduous task of transforming this wild place into a semblance of home, felling trees, building rough-hewn houses, and attempting to cultivate the unfamiliar soil. Beyond the broad strokes of history, the individuals who comprised the Roanoke colony were real people with their own hopes, fears, and motivations. There were families seeking refuge from economic hardship in England, young men eager for opportunity and adventure, and women determined to build new lives alongside their husbands. Governor John White, a respected artist and leader, carried the weight of responsibility for their well-being. His daughter, Eleanor Dare, and her husband Ananias were among the settlers, and their newborn daughter Virginia became a symbol of the colony's promise, the first English child born on American soil. We can imagine their daily lives, the arduous labor of clearing land and planting crops, the communal meals shared in the flickering light of fire, the anxieties of encountering the native inhabitants, the simple joys of a child's laughter echoing through the nascent settlement, and the ever-present yearning for news and supplies from home. Each colonist carried within them a story, a set of expectations for this new world, a world that would ultimately swallow them whole. The year 1590 marked a turning point, the anticipated return of Governor John White after a prolonged absence in England, where he had been securing much-needed supplies. The journey back was fraught with peril, delays, and the gnawing anxiety for the fate of his colony. When his ship finally dropped anchor off the coast of Roanoke Island, the scene that greeted him was not one of bustling activity and welcoming cheers, but an unnerving, profound silence. The familiar sights of a thriving settlement were absent. No smoke curled from the chimneys of the wooden houses. The cultivated fields lay untended. The protective palisade stood, but its gate hung open, unguarded. A chilling stillness permeated the air, a silence so complete it spoke volumes of an unmown tragedy. White and his men landed with trepidation, their hopes slowly turning to dread as they moved through the deserted settlement. Personal belongings lay scattered within the empty homes, a book left open, a half-finished carving, children's toys abandoned in the dust, all suggesting a sudden, unexplained departure rather than a planned evacuation or a violent attack followed by looting. The absence of any bodies or graves only deepened the unsettling mystery. Amidst the eerie emptiness, two cryptic clues offered themselves, or rather were discovered with a growing sense of foreboding. Carved into a prominent post of the palisade gate, the word Croatoan stood, stark and alone, a silent testament to some unknown decision or event. Furthermore, the letters CRO were found etched in the bark of a nearby tree. These were the only tangible messages left by the vanished colonists. For White, the meaning of Croatoan held a glimmer of hope mixed with deep uncertainty. He knew that Croatoan was the name of a nearby island, home to a friendly Native American tribe with whom the colonists had established some degree of relationship. He'd even instructed them, before his departure, that if they were forced to leave the settlement due to danger, they should carve the name of their destination on a prominent tree or post, along with a cross if their departure was due to distress. The absence of the cross left a lingering question. Was their leaving voluntary, a move to seek refuge with the Croatoan, or was it something else entirely? Subsequent searches of Hattusa Island, the likely location of the Croatoan tribe, yielded no definitive evidence of the Roanoke settlers' presence. No English artifacts were found in their villages, and the tribal accounts, as far as they could be gathered, offered no clear recollection of a large-scale integration of English colonists. The word Croatoan could indeed be the key, but the ultimate fate of those who might have reached Hatteras Island remained shrouded in the mists of time and cultural exchange. Did they thrive? Did they face new hardships? Did they eventually lose their English identity entirely? These questions linger, unanswered. The harsh realities of early colonial life offer more somber explanations. Starvation, exacerbated by poor soil, unpredictable weather, and the challenges of establishing reliable agriculture in a new environment, could have decimated the colony. Disease carried by European settlers or encountered in the New World could have swept through their ranks, leaving them weakened and vulnerable. A prolonged period of suffering might explain the lack of organized burials or a final message more detailed than a single word. Perhaps a desperate attempt at evacuation by sea ended in tragedy, their small boats lost to the unforgiving Atlantic. Or perhaps they attempted to move inland, seeking a more sustainable location, only to be met with unforeseen dangers or succumb to the elements. These scenarios paint a grim picture of a colony slowly unraveling under the weight of its challenges, its final days marked by desperation and silent suffering. The lack of remains, while still perplexing, might be attributed to natural decomposition, scavenging animals, or the possibility of scattered unmarked graves lost to time and the shifting landscape. The volatile political climate of the late 16th century introduces the possibility of external threats. The ongoing rivalry between England and Spain made Spanish raids a constant fear along the Atlantic coast. While no direct evidence links the Spanish to the disappearance of the Roanoke colony, the possibility of a clandestine attack, a swift and brutal elimination of the English presence, cannot be entirely dismissed. Alternatively, some more speculative theories delve into the realm of the supernatural. Tales of malevolent spirits, vengeful native curses, or even extraterrestrial intervention have occasionally surfaced in the popular imagination, fueled by the sheer inexplicability of the event. While these theories lack any credible historical or scientific basis, they speak to the profound sense of mystery and unease that surrounds the fate of the lost colony. Regardless of the factual explanation, the disappearance of the Roanoke colony has woven itself into the rich tapestry of American folklore. Becoming more than just a historical puzzle, it is a haunting legend. The eerie silence of Roanoke Island seems to resonate with the whispers of the lost colonists. Locals and visitors alike have reported strange phenomena: disembodied voices carried on the wind, fleeting glimpses of figures in colonial attire vanishing into the pervasive mists, and an unsettling sense of an unseen presence. The very word Croatoan has taken on a spectral quality, appearing in unexpected places and contexts, further fueling the mystery. The tale of Roanoke serves as a potent reminder of the fragility of human endeavor in the face of the unknown and the enduring power of a mystery that continues to defy explanation, its ghostly echo resonating through the centuries. The fate of the Roanoke colony remains shrouded in an impenetrable veil of mystery. Whether the settlers assimilated, succumbed to hardship, or met with a more sinister end, the silence of Roanoke Island continues to speak volumes. The single word, Croatoan, stands as a haunting testament to a lost community, a poignant reminder of the dreams and aspirations that vanished without a trace, forever etched in the American imagination as the ultimate unsolved colonial enigma.
Beneath the sun-baked, undulating landscapes of Cappadocia, in the heartland of Turkey, lies an astonishing secret, an architectural marvel that delves deep into the very essence of the earth. This is Derinkuyu, not merely a cave or a series of tunnels, but an entire, self-sufficient city meticulously carved into the soft, yielding volcanic rock. It plunges an astonishing 18 stories below the surface, a subterranean metropolis capable of housing a staggering 20,000 people, along with their livestock and provisions. Imagine descending into this incredible underground realm. As you venture deeper, the air grows cooler and the faint scent of ancient earth fills your senses. Derinkuyu was designed for prolonged habitation, a testament to the ingenuity and perseverance of its unknown creators. It boasted an intricate network of specialized chambers, each serving a vital purpose in sustaining life underground. There were expansive stables, ingeniously carved to accommodate horses and other animals,
indicating a community that understood the importance of their livestock for both labor and sustenance. Alongside these, numerous kitchens have been identified, complete with blackened ceilings from centuries of cooking fires, suggesting communal meal preparation and a well-organized society. For spiritual nourishment, intricately carved chapels offered places of worship and solace. The very air you breathe within Derinkuyu is a marvel in itself, thanks to an elaborate system of ventilation shafts that extended all the way to the surface, ensuring a constant flow of fresh air throughout the entire complex, even at its deepest levels. This sophisticated air circulation system alone speaks volumes about the advanced understanding of its builders. The sheer scale and complexity of Derinkuyu immediately raised the most pressing question: why was it built? What compelled a civilization to invest such immense effort in constructing an entire city beneath the earth? Several theories have been proposed, each offering a compelling yet ultimately unconfirmed explanation. To escape war? This is perhaps the most widely accepted theory. Cappadocia has historically been a crossroads of civilizations, a region constantly subjected to invasions and conflicts. An underground city capable of being sealed from within would have provided an unparalleled sanctuary from marauding armies, a place where entire communities could disappear without a trace, preserving their lives and culture during times of extreme peril. The massive, circular stone doors, designed to be rolled into place from the inside, lend significant credence to this defensive purpose. Natural disaster. Could it have been a refuge from catastrophic natural events, such as earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, which are not uncommon in this geologically active region? While a plausible secondary benefit, the sheer depth and intricate design suggest a more prolonged and significant threat, or something else entirely. Some theories venture into more speculative territory. Was it a communal dwelling built for protection against harsh weather extremes, or perhaps a retreat for religious communities seeking isolation and spiritual contemplation? The very lack of definitive answers only deepens the mystery. A fortress in the dark, hidden from the world above. One of Derinkuyu's most remarkable features was its ability to be completely sealed from within. Gigantic, perfectly balanced circular stone doors, sometimes weighing hundreds of kilograms, could be rolled across narrow passageways, effectively barricading the city from any external threat. These doors had a small hole in the center, large enough to allow a spear to be thrust through, suggesting a final, desperate defense mechanism. Once these doors were in place, Derinkuyu became a ghost city, vanishing from the world above, its inhabitants safe, yet entirely cut off. This defensive capability transformed it into an impenetrable fortress in the dark, a silent guardian against unseen dangers. Perhaps the most frustrating aspect of Derinkuyu is the profound silence surrounding its origins. There are no written records, no ancient scrolls, no engraved tablets, no architectural blueprints that shed light on its construction. It is simply a vast, subterranean labyrinth, a monument to a forgotten people and their incredible skills. This absence of information fuels intense debate among archaeologists and historians regarding its builders. The Hittites? This ancient Anatolian civilization, known for its powerful empire and impressive architectural feats, occupied the region millennia ago. Their advanced engineering capabilities make them a strong contender. Early Christians? With the rise of Christianity, followers often faced persecution, seeking refuge in hidden places. Cappadocia became an important center for early Christian communities, and many smaller, less complex underground dwellings were indeed used by them. Could Derinkuyu have been an ultimate refuge for thousands seeking to escape Roman persecution or later Byzantine conflicts? The presence of chapels supports this theory, but the sheer scale suggests a longer-term, more organized effort. Or someone even older. Some speculative theories push the timeline back even further, suggesting a pre-Hittite, perhaps even unknown civilization with astonishing geological and engineering expertise. The exact dating of the deepest levels remains a challenge, leaving room for a more ancient origin.
a place of profound mystery. Derinkuyu stands today as a defiant enigma, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, yet shrouded in almost impenetrable veil of mystery. It defies explanation, resisting easy categorization or definitive answers. It remains a silent witness to forgotten histories, a monumental achievement carved out of necessity, fear, or perhaps even way of life we can no longer comprehend. As visitors walk its silent corridors and gaze into its cavernous chambers, a profound sense of wonder and bewilderment descends. Who were these people? What threats did they face that compelled them to carve an entire city beneath the earth? And how did they achieve such a colossal feat without the aid of modern technology? Derinkuyu is more than just an archaeological site. It is a profound historical puzzle, a dark, silent sentinel waiting for its secrets to be unveiled. Its quiet corridors continue to whisper tales of an ancient past, a world hidden just beneath our feet, forever challenging our understanding of human history and capability.
Before Tikal, before Copan, there was Nakbé. Deep in the dense jungle of Guatemala lies a city that predates some of the most powerful Maya capitals. Hidden beneath layers of vegetation for thousands of years, Nakbé is one of the earliest known Maya urban centers, and yet, most people have never heard of it. Nakbé was first identified in the 1930s, but only recently did its full magnitude come into focus. Thanks to cutting-edge LiDAR technology, archaeologists were able to see through the jungle canopy and reveal a sprawling urban complex. Massive pyramid platforms, ceremonial plazas, intricate causeways stretching for miles. It was a discovery that rewrote the early history of the Maya. The city flourished during the Middle Preclassic period, around 600 to 400 BCE. That means Nakbé was thriving nearly 1,000 years before the golden age of cities like Tikal. But how could a city this old be so advanced? At its heart, Nakbé featured a hallmark of Maya architecture, the triadic pyramid complex. This consisted of a central pyramid flanked by two smaller ones, a layout that would be copied for centuries across the Maya world. These weren't just structures, they were cosmic symbols, reflecting the Maya worldview and their belief in sacred geography. The city also had something few expected from such an early site: roads. Massive elevated causeways, or sakbeob, connected various parts of Nakbé and extended outward to other preclassic sites like El Mirador. These weren't humble dirt paths. Some were up to 4 meters tall and paved with limestone, functioning like ancient highways. They enabled trade, communication, and military movement on a scale far greater than previously imagined. Nakbé's artisans left behind stunning ceramics and artwork, including elaborate red-on-cream pottery and carved stelae. Some of these stelae contain early examples of Maya iconography, figures of kings, deities, and perhaps even allusions to mythic cycles found later in the Popol Vuh, the sacred Maya book of creation. This suggests that the ideology which shaped the great classic Maya civilizations was already forming centuries earlier in Nakbé. But for all its grandeur, Nakbé didn't last. By around 200 BCE, construction had ceased. The city began to decline and was eventually abandoned. Its monuments fell silent. The jungle reclaimed the stones, and the Maya world moved on to newer centers of power like El Mirador, Tikal, and Calakmul. Why was Nakbé abandoned? That question remains unanswered. It could have been due to environmental stress, droughts, deforestation, or soil exhaustion, or perhaps internal conflict or competition with El Mirador, which was rapidly growing nearby. Some archaeologists believe Nakbé may have been a kind of prototype city, a testbed for architectural, political, and ideological systems that would later define the Maya civilization. In a sense, Nakbé was the first draft of the Maya world. The people of Nakbé are still shrouded in mystery. They left no deciphered written records, only fragments of stone tools,
broken pottery, and the silent mass of their pyramids. But what they achieved, from monumental construction to organized civic life, laid the foundation for everything the Maya would become. Nakbé is a reminder that history often hides its greatest secrets in the shadows. Lost beneath centuries of earth and forest, it was a forgotten chapter of human civilization. Now, with LiDAR and renewed archaeological effort, we are slowly bringing it back into the light. It forces us to rethink the Maya timeline, to consider that the brilliance of Tikal or Copan wasn't a sudden explosion, but the culmination of centuries of innovation starting in places like Nakbé. It may not have survived the test of time, but in its short life, Nakbé lit the first spark of a civilization that would endure for millennia. As archaeologists continue their work, peeling back layers of jungle and time, Nakbé stands as a monument not only to the past, but to the enduring human drive to build, to believe, and to leave a mark upon the world. A city lost in time, and yet a foundation for everything that followed. Nakbé, the city that came before them all.
Hidden somewhere in the dense, uncharted jungles of South America is a city that may or may not exist, a place said to gleam with unimaginable wealth, a city built of stone and gold, swallowed by time and trees. Paititi. For centuries, explorers, conquistadors, and treasure hunters have searched for this legendary city. Some never returned. Others claim to have seen glimpses of it, ruins choked by vines, strange stone pathways in the middle of nowhere, tribal accounts of golden palaces lost in the mist. But no one has ever proven that Paititi is real, and yet the stories persist. Paititi is often described as the lost city of the Inca, a final refuge where the last emperor and his priests fled during the Spanish conquest. When the great cities of Cusco and Vilcabamba fell to European invaders, it's said the Incas carried their treasures, artifacts, gold, sacred relics, deep into the Amazon basin. There, in a place no foreigner could follow, they built a hidden sanctuary, a city of gold, a final stronghold of Inca culture. But the roots of the Paititi legend go back even further. Some believe it predates the Incas entirely. In local Quechua and Aymara traditions, there are stories of a sacred land in the east, beyond the Andes, filled with wealth and spiritual power. This place was not just rich in gold, it was said to be the dwelling place of ancient wisdom, where gods once walked among men. The Spanish conquistadors were among the first outsiders to hear these tales. As they ravaged Peru in the 16th century, their thirst for gold became insatiable. They heard whispers of a city hidden beyond the mountains, more glorious than anything they had conquered so far. In 1600, a missionary named Andrés López wrote a letter to the Vatican describing a kingdom called Paititi, filled with riches and protected by fierce natives. This letter became one of the first written accounts linking Paititi to the Amazon. It fueled centuries of obsession. Dozens of expeditions followed, each one more daring and often more desperate than the last. Explorers ventured deep into the jungle, battling disease, insects, starvation, and isolation. Many never returned. In the 20th century, the search intensified. Maps surfaced, showing supposed locations of Paititi. Rumors abounded of satellite images revealing strange geometric patterns in the rainforest. Some even claimed to have discovered stone walls or staircases, overgrown and forgotten. In 1971, a French explorer named Thierry Jamin became one of the most vocal proponents of Paititi's existence. He conducted numerous expeditions in southeastern Peru, near the region of Madre de Dios. He claimed to have found clues, petroglyphs, ruins, and even a potential entrance to a vast underground complex. But skeptics argue that these discoveries are inconclusive, jungle pareidolia, wishful thinking. Still, the theory persists. Paititi lies somewhere in the borderlands of Peru, Brazil, and Bolivia,
likely within the dense cloud forests east of the Andes. This region, known as the Pantiacola, remains one of the least explored on Earth. Its terrain is brutal. Steep ridges, venomous creatures, rivers that devour boats, and a canopy so thick it blocks even satellite imagery. And yet it is precisely this remoteness that gives the legend its power. If Paititi was real, this is where it would be. The indigenous people of the region also speak of the lost city. The Machiguenga, an Amazonian tribe, have stories of a stone fortress deep in the jungle. Some say it is cursed. Others claim it is protected by spirits. In their language, there are references to a place where the ancestors live, a sacred city that outsiders must never find. For archaeologists, the myth of Paititi is both a lure and a caution. On one hand, it raises real questions about the extent of pre-Columbian urbanism in the Amazon. Could it be that advanced civilizations once thrived here, far beyond the Andes? Recent discoveries suggest the answer might be yes. In the 2010s, scientists used LiDAR technology to uncover massive earthworks and city-like patterns buried beneath the jungle in Brazil and Bolivia. These weren't small villages. They were planned urban spaces with roads, plazas, and water systems. Proof that the Amazon once held vast, complex societies. Could Paititi have been one of them? If it did exist, it might not be made of gold. It might not sparkle like El Dorado, but it could represent something far more valuable. A missing piece of the human story. A culture that bridged the highland Andes and the lowland rainforest. A city that held sacred rituals, scientific knowledge, and spiritual traditions now lost to time. What makes the mystery even more compelling is the sense that someone or something doesn't want it to be found. Countless expeditions have been thwarted by natural disasters, freak accidents, or strange illnesses. Some researchers report being warned by locals not to continue their search, and others believe that if Paititi is found, it might set off a cultural and environmental catastrophe, inviting looters, tourists, and exploitation into a sacred space. The Peruvian government has taken these concerns seriously. Several regions believed to be near Paititi's location have been declared protected zones. In 2009, an area called the Megantoni National Sanctuary was established in part to preserve rumored archaeological sites. This suggests that even without definitive proof, the legend has enough weight to shape real-world policy. But even with all this secrecy, Paititi refuses to disappear. It shows up in documentaries, novels, conspiracy theories, even video games. Some tie it to ancient aliens, others to Atlantean survivors. But underneath all the fringe speculation lies a very human yearning, the desire to believe that somewhere out there, a piece of the ancient world remains untouched. And maybe, just maybe, it's still waiting to be found. The search for Paititi isn't really about gold. It's about the limits of our knowledge. It's about the blank spaces on the map. About the fact that even in the 21st century, there are still places we haven't seen, questions we haven't answered, myths we haven't disproven. And sometimes those myths carry truths hidden beneath their layers. Perhaps Paititi is a real city, buried beneath centuries of growth. Or perhaps it is a metaphor, a symbol of indigenous resistance, memory, and cultural survival. Maybe it was never one place, but a network of spiritual sanctuaries that helped the Inca preserve their world as it collapsed around them. In that sense, it doesn't matter if it's made of gold or stone, if it ever had walls or temples. What matters is the story it tells. A story of a people who refused to vanish, who turned away from empire and conquest and went back into the earth, into the green labyrinth of the forest, and in doing so, became legend. Paititi may never be found, or it may reveal itself tomorrow, but its legacy is already written, in the minds of those who dream and in the hearts of those who search. A city lost, a culture hidden, a mystery alive. Paititi, the city that the jungle won't give back.
In the heart of the vast and unforgiving Sahara, where scorching winds sweep across endless golden dunes, there lingers a legend, whispered for centuries by nomads, explorers, and desert mystics alike, a tale of a city unlike any other. Its name is Zerzura, a place said to shimmer with white stone walls, shaded by palm trees, protected by towering black guardians. Some say it holds ancient treasure. Others believe it guards forgotten knowledge. On medieval Arabic maps, it was known as the Oasis of Little Birds, but no map could ever quite pin it down. Zerzura exists, if it exists at all, in the blurred space between history and myth. The earliest accounts come from medieval Arab historians like al-Makrizi in the 13th century. He chronicled tales told by travelers who claimed to have seen a shining city hidden deep in the desert west of the Nile. The details repeat: white buildings, foreign people, and guardians dressed in black who watched over the gates. Some who searched for it never returned. Others claimed to have seen it, only for the desert to erase all traces on their way back. One tale tells of a caravan stumbling upon the city by accident during a storm. Its inhabitants fed and healed them, then blindfolded them and led them out. When they tried to return, it had vanished without a trace. For centuries, Zerzura was a riddle written in sand. Then came the age of European exploration. In the 19th and 20th centuries, the legend of Zerzura drew the attention of adventurers and archaeologists. Armed with ancient manuscripts and early maps, they set out across one of the most inhospitable terrains on Earth. Some believed Zerzura was hidden beyond the oases of Dakhla and Farafra. Others placed it near the Libyan border, but no one ever found it. Among the most famous seekers was Laszlo Almasi, a Hungarian explorer, pilot, and desert expert. In the 1930s, Almasi led expeditions into the remote Gilf Kabir Plateau in Egypt's southwest. There he discovered the Cave of the Swimmers, filled with prehistoric rock art. Images of human figures swimming suggested the desert had once been a lush, green land. Almasi believed Zerzura might be one of the dried-up wadis, hidden valleys, in that region, long abandoned and buried by time. In his writings, he claimed to have come close, perhaps even found it, but he never publicly revealed a location. The legend only grew. Modern science has taken up the search. Satellite scans of the Sahara have revealed ancient riverbeds and possible man-made structures beneath the dunes. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence that the Sahara was once teeming with life, rivers, forests, and civilizations. It's now accepted that entire cultures once thrived in regions now considered dead desert. Could Zerzura have been one of them? A city built during a greener age, preserved in myth after the climate turned it to dust? Perhaps. But others say Zerzura was never real, that it was a metaphor or a mirage born of heat and desperation. The desert can deceive. It twists vision, warps perception. Travelers near death have seen cities on the horizon that were never there. Some believe Zerzura represents not a place, but a longing for sanctuary, for meaning, for paradise in the harshest of environments. And yet, the story persists. Nomads in the Sahara still speak of a hidden oasis, veiled from all but the most determined, a place that appears and disappears, a city that tests your spirit before revealing its gates. Zerzura remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the ancient world, too consistent to ignore, too elusive to confirm. Is it buried beneath the dunes, waiting to be unearthed?
Or was it always a dream, meant to live only in the imagination? Whatever the answer, the legend lives on. In the shifting winds, in the cracked pages of ancient maps, and in the hearts of those who still believe that, somewhere beyond the horizon, a white city sleeps beneath the sand. Zerzura, the mirage, the myth, the city that time forgot.
On the coast of Gujarat, India, lies a place where wind sweeps across cracked earth and the past speaks in the silence between stones. A place forgotten by time, yet once perhaps the first true port in human history. Lothal. Built over 4,000 years ago by the mysterious Indus Valley civilization, this city was more than a settlement. It was a vision, a feat of ancient engineering, a hub for trade and craftsmanship, and maybe even a window into a lost age of maritime exploration far older than we thought possible. Today, it's a ghost of baked bricks and dry channels, but long ago, ships may have docked here, their hulls heavy with goods from distant lands. Fires may have burned in bead-making kilns, merchants may have haggled, children may have played in the streets, and sails may have filled with the wind of a forgotten sea. The Indus people built Lothal with startling precision. Its streets formed perfect right angles. Homes were arranged in a neat grid. The city had private baths, public wells, stormwater drains, even a warehouse complex. But what drew the world's attention was something else entirely. A massive brick-lined structure to the east of the city. Rectangular, deep, meticulously designed. Archaeologists called it a dockyard, perhaps the oldest in the world. It measured over 200 feet in length, its walls were fortified against the tides, and it was connected, in theory, to a canal that flowed into the nearby river, and from there, into the Arabian Sea. But was it really a dock, or something else? To this day, no ship remains have ever been found at Lothal. The dock basin has no clear outlet for water to flow in or out. Was it symbolic? A reservoir? A sacred pool? Or perhaps a feature we simply don't yet understand? The mystery only deepens when you look at what the people of Lothal left behind. Tools made of bronze and copper, beads of carnelian, agate, lapis lazuli, terracotta figurines, thousands of small seals etched with symbols we cannot read. The Indus script remains undeciphered. There is no translation, no bilingual Rosetta Stone, no surviving oral tradition. We don't know their language, we don't know what they called their city or their gods or even themselves. And yet, despite this silence, a picture begins to emerge. Lothal was no isolated village. It was part of a larger world, one where goods and ideas moved across great distances, from the heart of the Indus Valley to the ancient cities of Mesopotamia. Artifacts from Sumer have been found in India. Indus-style seals have turned up in faraway lands. A bead found in a Mesopotamian tomb may have come from Lothal. Was this a Bronze Age global economy? And if so, how did it work? There are no royal palaces here. No ziggurats or pyramids, no statues of kings, no inscriptions of conquest. Unlike Egypt and Mesopotamia, the Indus people built their cities without visible rulers. Power may have been shared. Their priorities seemed to be order, trade, and water, not war. At its peak, Lothal may have housed around 5,000 people. It wasn't a massive metropolis, but its role was outsized. Here, craftspeople shaped gems into beads. They used drills so fine, we still marvel at them. They measured weights with a system so precise that it varied by less than a gram. They built kilns capable of reaching temperatures high enough to fire ceramics and smelt metals. This wasn't just a port. It was a center of design, science, and commerce.
But then, it was abandoned. Sometime around 1900 BCE, the people of Lothal left. No sign of violence, no great fire, no dramatic destruction, just an ending. Why? Some scholars believe the nearby river changed course, cutting the city off from its water supply and trade routes. Others suggest the sea rose, flooding the region and making it uninhabitable. There are theories of climate change, of drought, of tectonic shifts that disrupted life across the entire Indus Valley. Because Lothal's decline was not an isolated event. At around the same time, great Indus cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa also began to fall into silence. The entire civilization, one of the world's earliest and most sophisticated, unraveled. It left no written records, no mythic stories, no historical continuity. Only artifacts, only ruins, and only questions. Lothal was rediscovered in 1954 by Indian archaeologists. They unearthed not just bricks, but a mystery, a lost city that had once looked out to sea, now stranded in salt and dust. Excavations revealed furnaces, tools, bathrooms, jewelry, and the infamous dock basin that sparked debate worldwide. To some, it proved that the Indus people were master mariners, pioneers of maritime trade. To others, it was a puzzle without a solution, an ancient reservoir misunderstood as a dock. Today, Lothal is exposed to the elements. Preservation is difficult. The site is vulnerable to rain, erosion, and neglect. Its once imposing structures are slowly weathering back into the earth. A new museum nearby attempts to reconstruct its former glory, a model port city complete with ships and bustling markets. But nothing quite captures what Lothal once was, because so much of it remains untold. We don't know what rituals were performed here, what songs were sung, what names were whispered under the stars. The Indus script still resists every effort to crack it. Each seal unearthed is a message we cannot read, a locked door in a crumbling house. And yet, there is power in what remains. Lothal challenges our assumptions about the ancient world. It shows us that great cities can exist without kings, that science and order can thrive without empire, that the sea, long before the age of sail, may have carried the ambitions of a forgotten people across distant horizons. It reminds us that civilization is not always loud. Sometimes it moves quietly, through trade, through craft, through unseen networks, and sometimes it ends quietly too, with rivers that vanish, with storms that never leave, with no final battle, no last words, just absence. In the stillness of Lothal's dock basin, one can almost hear the water that once may have lapped against its bricks, the shouts of traders, the ring of metal on stone, the silent work of unknown hands. And then, nothing. A city that thrived, a city that vanished, a civilization whose name we do not know, but whose legacy still echoes in clay, stone, and salt. Lothal is more than a ruin. It is a question. A port that may have opened to the world, or to secrets we still haven't begun to understand. And perhaps, like the tide, its truth will return one day when we are ready to listen.
In the wind-swept highlands of southern Armenia, where the earth seems to breathe ancient winds, and the mountains cast shadows like forgotten gods, there lies a place few have heard of, and even fewer understand. A place of stone, of silence, of secrets older than history. Karahunj. Often called the Armenian Stonehenge, this sprawling field of megaliths is one of the most mysterious and ancient sites on Earth. Over 200 massive stones stand rooted in the soil, many pierced by circular holes that stare eternally at the sky. Scattered across a plateau over 1,700 meters above sea level, these monoliths form a haunting pattern, a ghostly constellation carved into the land. But what was this place? A temple? A tomb? An observatory? A code in stone? No one knows for sure, and that is what makes Karahunj so compelling. To the untrained eye, it may look like little more than an ancient ruin, a scatter of weathered rocks across a lonely hilltop. But those who stand among the stones feel something else, a presence, a design, a purpose waiting to be uncovered. Local legends speak of songs carried in the wind, of voices trapped in the stone. For generations, shepherds and villagers have called this place Zorat's Karer, the army of stones. But the name Karahunj is older. In Armenian, it means speaking stones, a name that whispers of memory, of time, of celestial knowledge long forgotten. What sets Karahunj apart is not just its age, though some researchers believe it may be older than both Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids. It's what these stones seem to do. Many of the upright megaliths are pierced with holes, bored through with almost unnatural precision. They aren't random. They face specific angles, align with solar, lunar, and stellar positions. On the summer solstice, the sunrise cuts directly through these openings. On certain nights, the stars align with them. Some believe the stones were used to track the movement of constellations, possibly even as early as 7,500 years ago. If true, it would mean that Karahunj is not just a prehistoric monument. It would be the oldest known astronomical observatory on the planet. But the site is not officially recognized as such. Mainstream archaeology often labels it a necropolis, an ancient cemetery dating to around 3000 BCE. And yet, even that doesn't fully explain the alignments, the holes, the patterns etched into the land. Was it both? A place of the dead and a place of the stars? Or was Karahunj something more complex? A center of ritual science where the earliest Armenians reached for the heavens with stone and vision. In the 1990s, Armenian astrophysicist Paris Harouni led several studies of Karahunj and concluded it was built as an observatory in the 6th millennium BCE. He argued that the placement of the stones could track Sirius, the sun, the moon, and even the equinoxes. But his claims were controversial. Critics said the holes were too weathered, the alignments too ambiguous. The debate continues, quietly, because Karahunj remains too obscure for most of the academic world to weigh in. And perhaps that's how it was meant to be. Because Karahunj doesn't give up its secrets easily. The site is isolated, surrounded by steppe and ancient hills. No cities nearby, no crowds, only wind, lichen-covered stone, and the long echo of time. There are no clear signs of construction technique, no writing, no inscriptions, just massive basalt stones, each weighing several tons, somehow transported and erected by a people whose very identity has been lost. Even the civilization that built Karahunj is unknown. The site predates the known Armenian kingdoms, predates Urartu, predates writing itself. Who were these early skywatchers? What compelled them to build a monument that gazes so intently at the stars? Some say Karahunj was part of a larger network, a civilization of ancient astronomers who mapped the heavens long before Babylon or Greece. Others believe it marked a sacred zone, where earth and sky met, a point of communion between the physical and the divine,
a place where time itself could be measured, understood, even harnessed. The symbolism is undeniable. The stone circles, the alignments, the eerie silence of the plateau. At night, under a cloudless sky, Karahunj becomes something else, a doorway. The stars above mirror the stones below. The holes, like primitive telescopes, invite the cosmos in. It's not hard to imagine rituals held here, fires lit, chants rising with the wind. A priesthood, perhaps, or a caste of scholars tracking the heavens in rhythms long forgotten. Or perhaps it was a kind of calendar, a way to mark harvests, seasons, solstices. For a civilization rooted in nature, understanding the sky meant survival. But why the holes? Their precision, so deliberate, has led some to believe they weren't just symbolic, they were functional. Tools. Eyes turned toward Sirius, the dog star, which has held religious and agricultural significance across countless ancient cultures. The Egyptians aligned their temples with it. So did the Sumerians. Could the builders of Karahunj have been the earliest? If so, it rewrites history. And that's where things get murky. Because if Karahunj is the oldest observatory in the world, if these people were charting stars before the Great Pyramid had even risen, then our understanding of early civilization is incomplete. It would mean that long before Mesopotamia or the Nile, the Armenian highlands were home to astronomer builders who understood the sky in ways we still don't. That's not a theory most institutions are ready to embrace. And so, Karahunj remains on the margins, a curiosity, a footnote, a fringe theory. But for those who've stood among its stones, felt the wind carve paths through its ancient geometry, the site is anything but fringe. It is alive, a place humming with memory, with intelligence, with something unspoken. Local myths tell of gods who walked among the people, of giants who carried stones, of voices that could be heard in the rock. Some believe the site is still sacred, and that disturbing it would awaken forces best left alone. Even modern visitors have reported strange sensations, sudden dizziness, disorientation, dreams that linger for days. Others describe a deep calm, as if the land itself was watching, listening. Perhaps that is the power of places like Karahunj. They exist not just in space, but in time, connecting us to an age when humans didn't just survive, but observed, measured, wondered. When we looked up, not with fear, but with awe. Today, Karahunj is barely protected. It lacks the global recognition of Stonehenge or Göbekli Tepe. There are no major research institutions studying it full-time. But perhaps that's fitting. It has survived this long, hidden in plain sight, unspoiled by tourism or exploitation. It waits, patient, silent. And maybe that's the lesson, that some knowledge isn't found in books or screens, but in stone, in alignment, in silence. That long before the modern world, our ancestors stood on this wind-blasted hill and wondered at the same stars we see now, and they built something to last. Not a city, not a fortress, a memory in stone. A whisper to the sky. A question no one has answered. Karahunj, the speaking stones of Armenia, is the final echo of an ancient people who looked to the stars and built their truth into the bones of the earth. And though we may never fully understand them, their stones still stand, still waiting, still watching.
In the rugged heartland of Anatolia, Amidst rolling plains and ancient mountains lay a city that defied the sands of time, a city not of myth, but of monumental stone and forgotten power. This was Hattusa, the formidable capital of the Hittite Empire, a rival to the pharaohs of Egypt and the kings of Mesopotamia. For centuries, its very existence was shrouded in the mists of legend, until the archaeological spade and the decipherment of forgotten tongues began to peel back the layers of earth and mystery, bringing it back to vibrant, tangible life. Long before Hattusa emerged as an imperial capital, the site itself bore witness to earlier human endeavor. Archaeological explorations confirm that the location was inhabited by the indigenous Hattian people, from whom the later Indo-European-speaking Hittites would eventually derive their name, adopting and adapting significant portions of their predecessors' rich cultural tapestry, religious practices, and even elements of their language. Evidence points to the presence of early settlements here as far back as the 3rd millennium BCE, indicating a consistent recognition of the strategic value of this Anatolian plateau. The true, foundational chapter of Hattusa, however, begins with the arrival of the Hittites, an Indo-European people who migrated into Anatolia and gradually began to coalesce into a powerful force. It was the legendary King Anita, a figure of the old Hittite kingdom around the 18th century BCE, who first laid eyes upon the site, though his initial interaction was not one of reverence. He conquered and, according to his own chilling inscription, cursed the earlier Hattian settlement, known then as Hattush. His decree echoed across the ages. "Whosoever after me shall be king, and shall resettle Hattush, may the storm god of heaven strike him." It was a bold and ominous curse, particularly in light of the city's future destiny. Yet, less than a century following Anita's powerful imprecation, a king named Hattusili I courageously defied the curse. He re-established the city on the very same cursed ground, renamed it Hattusa, and made it the undisputed capital of what historians now refer to as the Old Hittite Kingdom. This decision was rooted in shrewd strategic thinking. Hattusa was naturally defensible, perched majestically on a rocky outcrop, its imposing position further reinforced by deep ravines that provided natural barriers on multiple sides, all while being surrounded by fertile lands capable of sustaining a large population. From this burgeoning stronghold, the Hittites, under the leadership of Hattusili I and his successor, Mursili I, initiated their relentless expansion. Under the guidance of these powerful early rulers, the Hittite kingdom grew in both territory and ambition. From the newly solidified heart of Hattusa, Mursili I launched audacious military campaigns that sent shockwaves across the ancient world. His armies marched far to the east, achieving the monumental feat of conquering the great Syrian city of Aleppo, a significant regional power. Even more astonishingly, he dared to lead his forces into Mesopotamia itself, raiding the distant and venerable city of Babylon around 1595 BCE. This single decisive strike effectively brought an end to the old Babylonian Empire, a testament to the unforeseen and rapidly burgeoning might of the Hittite state. While these early conquests were undoubtedly extraordinary and set the Hittites firmly on the geopolitical map, the state was still in its formative stages. The period was often marked by internal strife, bitter succession struggles within the royal family, and the inherently volatile nature of maintaining control over newly conquered territories. The Hittite kings grappled with the immense challenge of consolidating and governing a vast and diverse realm. Yet it was precisely during this crucible of experimentation that the Hittites began to forge their remarkably sophisticated administrative system. They developed their famous Laws of the Hittites, a legal code that was surprisingly progressive for its era, often emphasizing compensation and restitution over the brutal retaliatory punishments favored by many of their contemporaries.
Furthermore, they began to systematically integrate and synthesize the religious beliefs of the Hattians, Hurrians, and Mesopotamians, leading to their unique and rich pantheon, famously earning them the epithet as the Land of 1,000 Gods. This cultural amalgamation would become a defining feature of their empire. Following the dramatic, if somewhat chaotic, conquests of the Old Kingdom, Hittite power experienced a period of relative quietivity, often referred to as the Middle Kingdom. This era, spanning roughly the 15th to 14th centuries BCE, is less exhaustively documented than the periods before and after, marked by a slight contraction of direct Hittite influence and a more inward-looking focus on consolidating internal power. However, it was far from a period of stagnation. Instead, it was a crucial phase of internal development, cultural absorption, and administrative refinement. The lessons learned from the earlier periods of rapid expansion and subsequent instability were applied, systematically laying the essential groundwork for the empire's impending golden age. The 14th century BCE ushered in what is universally recognized as the era of the Hittite Empire, a period of unparalleled power, prestige, and international influence. From the imposing capital of Hattusa, a succession of formidable great kings, including Suppiluliuma I, Mursili II, Muwatalli II, and Hattusili III, projected their might across the entirety of Anatolia and deep into the Levant, directly challenging the established superpowers of Egypt and the fading Hurrian kingdom of Mitanni. This was an age of intricate diplomacy, grand military campaigns, and a vibrant cultural exchange that flowed in and out of the imperial capital. Hattusa itself physically transformed, mirroring this newfound imperial glory. The city expanded dramatically to accommodate its growing population and administrative needs. Its immense lower city buzzed with life, housing a bustling population of commoners, skilled craftsmen, and vibrant markets where goods from across the empire and beyond were traded. The upper city ascended majestically, becoming the exclusive domain of power and piety. Here stood grand temples, including the magnificent Great Temple dedicated to the paramount deities, the storm god of Hatti and the sun goddess of Erina, alongside numerous smaller shrines for the vast pantheon. Administrative buildings, barracks, and the sprawling royal citadel, Buyik Kale, with its intricate palace complex, dominated the landscape. Just outside the main city walls lay the sacred Yazilikaya rock sanctuary, a vital outdoor temple where the Hittite pantheon was not merely worshipped, but carved into magnificent, enduring reliefs, embodying their deep connection to the natural world and their myriad gods. The city's defenses were a testament to the pinnacle of Bronze Age engineering. Hattusa was encircled by over 8 kilometers of massive stone walls, a double or even a triple line of fortification in places, some sections reaching 6 meters thick and soaring 8 to 10 meters high. These weren't simply utilitarian fortifications. They incorporated imposing and symbolically rich gates, each a masterpiece of architectural and sculptural art, like the majestic Lion Gate, the enigmatic Sphinx Gate, and the regal King's Gate. These structures were not just barriers, they were powerful statements of imperial power and resilience, designed to awe and deter. The city's strategic location on a steep ridge, combined with its innovative system of poterns, secret tunnels running beneath the walls, allowing for surprise sorties or escapes, rendered it virtually impregnable to ancient siege warfare. Perhaps the most famous episode of this imperial era is the epic Battle of Kadesh, fought around 1274 BCE. From Hattusa, King Muwatalli II marshaled the full might of the Hittite army, including its formidable chariot corps, and marched south to confront Pharaoh Ramesses II's Egyptian forces in Syria. It remains arguably the largest chariot battle in recorded history, involving thousands of these powerful war machines. While both sides famously claimed a resounding victory in their official chronicles, the historical reality was a brutal, bloody stalemate. This deadlock ultimately paved the way for the groundbreaking Treaty of Kadesh, signed approximately 15 years later in 1259 BCE by Muwatalli's successor, Hattusili III and Ramesses II. This monumental agreement is widely recognized as the world's first known comprehensive peace treaty, a powerful testament to Hittite diplomacy and legal sophistication. Copies of this pivotal document were remarkably unearthed in Hattusa's meticulously organized archives, with the corresponding Egyptian version found at Karnak, underscoring the authenticity and mutual significance of the accord.
The discovery of the royal archives at Hattusa was nothing short of a revolution in ancient history. Tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets, meticulously inscribed on clay, were unearthed from the city's ruins. These invaluable documents were written in a variety of languages prevalent in the late Bronze Age Near East, including Hittite, Akkadian, the lingua franca of diplomacy, and Hurrian. These tablets provided an unparalleled direct window into the political, social, and cultural life of the Hittite Empire. They detailed their intricate history, precise legal codes, formal treaties with other powers, extensive diplomatic correspondence that illuminated the complex web of international relations, vast collections of religious texts, detailed omens, and even surprisingly precise medical prescriptions. This immense textual treasure trove revealed a complex, highly organized, and literate society, far more advanced and sophisticated than had ever been imagined before its rediscovery. The archives demonstrated not just the Hittites' military might, but their intellectual prowess and administrative genius. Yet the zenith of Hattusa's power and the Hittite Empire's dominance was tragically short-lived. Around 1200 BCE, a monumental, cataclysmic event, known to historians as the Bronze Age collapse, swept across the entire eastern Mediterranean and Near East. Across this vast region, once thriving civilizations crumbled, long-established trade routes vanished, and powerful empires, including the mighty Hittites, fell into ruin. The precise reasons for this widespread collapse are still debated fiercely by historians and archaeologists. Theories range from drastic climate change leading to widespread famine and ecological degradation, to internal social and economic revolts, to the mysterious and relentless migrations of the Sea Peoples, a confederation of seafaring raiders whose origins and ultimate fate remain elusive. It is most likely that a complex, intertwined combination of these catastrophic factors ultimately led to the downfall of this highly interconnected world. Hattusa, the magnificent capital, could not escape this fate. Archaeological evidence from the site vividly paints a picture of its final moments. The city was violently destroyed and subsequently abandoned around this time. Fires raged through its grand structures, buildings collapsed, and the meticulous order of its vast archives was tragically lost in the ensuing chaos. The Hittite Empire, which had for centuries stood as a formidable force on the world stage, simply vanished from the historical record, its unique language and rich culture fading into obscurity for well over 3 millennia. The specific sequence of events leading to Hattusa's final demise remains somewhat mysterious, allowing for ongoing academic inquiry and compelling narratives. Some theories propose a final devastating onslaught by perennial northern tribal enemies, perhaps the Cahokia, who had long plagued the Hittite frontiers. Others suggest that the empire's internal weaknesses, perhaps exacerbated by a crumbling economy or widespread famine, led to its collapse from within. There's even a theory of a desperate self-inflicted destruction, a scorched earth policy enacted by the Hittites themselves, and a desperate attempt to deny resources to an invading enemy, sacrificing their capital to preserve their legacy or simply to make their enemies pay a heavy price. Whatever the precise harrowing cause, the once grand city of Hattusa became a desolate ruin, gradually, inevitably reclaimed by the resilient Anatolian earth, its story swallowed by time. For millennia, Hattusa lay buried and forgotten, its memory reduced to fleeting, cryptic references in the chronicles of its former rivals, the Egyptian pharaohs and the Assyrian kings. It wasn't until the late 19th and early 20th centuries that its very existence began to be pieced together and ultimately confirmed. Initial discoveries by intrepid European travelers, fueled by a burgeoning interest in biblical archaeology, eventually led to the initiation of systematic archaeological excavations beginning in 1906. This pioneering work was primarily undertaken by German archaeologists, most notably the visionary Hugo Winkler. Winkler's team made the groundbreaking discovery that would forever change our understanding of the ancient Near East: the unearthing of the royal archives, including the crucial Akkadian copy of the Kadesh Treaty. This discovery alone was momentous, but the subsequent decipherment of the Hittite language by the brilliant Czech Assyriologist Bedřich Hrozný in 1915 was a truly monumental achievement. Hrozny's breakthrough unlocked the vast treasure trove of information contained within the tens of thousands of clay tablets, allowing the Hittites to speak to us directly from the distant past, revealing their history, their laws, their beliefs, and their place in the grand tapestry of ancient civilizations. Today, Hattusa, nestled near the modern Turkish town of Boğazköy, stands proudly as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Ongoing archaeological work, often in collaboration with international teams, continues to reveal more of its profound secrets. From its remarkably sophisticated water supply system, which included massive reservoirs and an intricate network of pipes, to its meticulous urban planning that balanced defensive needs with civic and religious spaces. Visitors can now walk among the towering ruins, gaze upon the enigmatic Sphinx Gate with its weather-worn watchful figures, and ponder the fate of a once mighty empire that vanished so completely. Hattusa stands as a powerful, enduring testament to the ingenuity, resilience, and ultimately the inherent fragility of ancient civilizations. It serves as a stark yet inspiring reminder that even the grandest cities and the most powerful empires can be swallowed by the inexorable flow of time. Yet through the painstaking, meticulous work of archaeology, their whispers can still be heard across the millennia, telling compelling stories of power, intricate diplomacy, profound faith, and ultimately a mysterious, echoing disappearance that continues to fascinate and challenge our understanding of the ancient world.
Just hearing the name Atlantis makes people imagine amazing things. They picture a powerful island empire, beautiful and super advanced, that was swallowed by the ocean in just one terrible day and night. It's a legend told for thousands of years, a secret that's more than just a fairy tale. It's a big part of our culture. Our journey into this old mystery starts with the Greek thinker Plato. Around 360 years before Jesus, Plato was the first to write about Atlantis. In his important books, Timaeus and Critias, Plato didn't just make up a fantasy city. He described a real civilization that was huge, rich, and strong in war. He said it was located past the Pillars of Hercules, which we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar, at the entrance to the Atlantic Ocean. Plato wrote down everything carefully. He painted a clear picture of a society that had a huge amount of natural resources. The island itself was a natural wonder, full of valuable metals, including a strange one called orichalcum. This metal was shiny and fiery, like copper, and supposedly glowed on its own. Atlanteans loved it for its beauty and how useful it was. Big forests gave them wood for building, and rich farmlands grew 2 harvests every year. The island even had many different animals, like wild elephants, showing how incredibly rich it was. The heart of this amazing empire was its capital city, a masterpiece of old building and design. Plato said it had perfectly round, circular areas of land and water, one inside the other. Bridges went over these water circles, connecting the land sections, all leading to a central island. On this island stood the royal palace and a magnificent temple built for Poseidon, the god who protected Atlantis. The buildings were decorated with shining orichalcum, ivory, and gold, showing off the Atlanteans' huge wealth and amazing art skills. Their society was also complex, ruled by 10 good kings. These kings were the children of Poseidon's human sons by Cleito. They ruled their own areas but were all united under the oldest king. Their power reached parts of Libya and Europe, showing how big their empire was. But this perfect picture came with a big warning. Plato said that the Atlanteans, who at first were good and lived by divine rules, slowly became bad because of human pride and endless greed, what the Greeks called hubris. Their divine good nature became less important as they wanted more power. This led them to start unfair wars and try to conquer more land. This moral decay, this turning away from their good beginnings, made the gods angry. It all ended in a terrible punishment where Atlantis was swallowed by the sea in just one fast, devastating day and night. For Plato, Atlantis was a deep story with a moral. It was a warning to his own people in Athens and to all civilizations about the dangers of wanting too much, losing their good values, and how little material power means without goodness. It was like a mirror, showing the possible problems even in the most advanced societies. But was Atlantis a true story, a mixed-up memory of a real disaster, or just an idea Plato made up for a lesson? This main question has caused arguments for hundreds of years. Many experts believe it was just a story, seeing Plato's tale as a clever piece of political thinking. It was a teaching tool meant to show a perfect society, like early good Atlantis and ancient Athens, compared to a bad, power-hungry one. However, other thinkers suggest that Plato, who watched the world carefully, might have used parts of real old stories, tales from ancient sailors, or even older records, possibly from Egypt, to make his story seem more real.
One of the best real-life examples for a historical Atlantis is the Minoan civilization. This advanced group lived on the island of Crete in the Aegean Sea from about 2700 to 1450 BCE. The Minoans were indeed a very advanced seafaring power, famous for their grand palaces, beautiful wall paintings, wide trade networks, and they didn't seem to have many defenses, suggesting a time of peace and control. Their society suddenly and dramatically fell apart soon after the giant eruption of the Thera volcano on nearby Santorini, Thera, around 1600 BCE. This huge event, one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions ever recorded, much stronger than Pompeii's Vesuvius, caused massive tsunamis that would have destroyed coastal towns all over the Aegean Sea, including Crete. Ash from the volcano would have filled the sky, killed crops, and made the area colder for a time. Could Plato, hundreds of years later, have heard a changed, exaggerated, or combined story of this terrible event? Perhaps it was passed down through generations of spoken stories, or even seen in old Egyptian records, and he changed it to fit his philosophical ideas. The similarities, a strong island civilization, a sudden destruction, and a natural disaster, are incredibly strong. Beyond the Aegean Sea, other places have also sparked the imaginations of people looking for Atlantis. The Azores, a group of volcanic islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, have long been suggested as the remains of a sunken continent, the visible mountain peaks of a vast land swallowed by the sea. Ideas here have been fueled by strange things found underwater off their coasts, including basalt rock formations that some people say show signs of geometric shapes and man-made structures. This has led to big debates among geologists and archaeologists. Are these just natural rock formations shaped by currents and erosion, or are they truly the forgotten ruins of a vanished city swallowed by the very ocean they now lie in? Further west, off the coast of the Bahamas, is the confusing Bimini Road. This underwater formation has unusually rectangular and evenly sized limestone blocks, arranged in a straight line for hundreds of meters. For those who believe in Atlantis, this seems like clear proof of old man-made construction, a road, a pier, or even a wall showing an advanced civilization. However, most scientists say the Bimini Road is just a natural geological event called beach rock. They say it's formed by sand and shell bits being glued together by groundwater, then broken by waves and erosion into angled blocks that just happen to look organized. Still, how precisely the blocks are lined up and how huge the formation is continues to make believers strongly feel it's not natural. Even the lonely frozen land of Antarctica has been suggested as a place for Atlantis. This less common theory, often linked to the crustal displacement theory made popular by Charles Hapgood, suggests that the Earth's crust can sometimes shift quickly. This would cause continents to move fast and bring warm areas to the very cold poles. Under this idea, Antarctica, now covered by miles of ice, could have once been a warm land, home to an advanced civilization, before a sudden pole shift covered it in ice. Supporters often point to the Piri Reis map, a real map from the 1500s that seems to show parts of the Antarctic coast without ice hundreds of years before it was officially discovered and mapped in its frozen state. While most map experts say any accuracy is due to older maps or just a coincidence, for Atlantis fans, it remains a fascinating piece of evidence.
However, the myth of Atlantis is more than just guessing about places. In the 1900s, it became a powerful and sometimes bad tool for different groups and ideas. Most notably, the Nazis, driven by their racist idea of an Aryan master race, were very interested in Atlantis. They believed it was the starting point of a pure, ancient Aryan bloodline who had advanced knowledge and mystical powers. Heinrich Himmler's infamous Ahnenerbe division, the Nazis' fake science research group, even sent trips to far-off places like Tibet, desperately searching for Atlantean relics, secret wisdom, and the supposed family roots of their imagined master race. The way such a good myth was used for such a hateful purpose is a chilling example of how powerful beliefs can be. In books, movies, and popular culture, Atlantis became popular again, becoming a blank canvas for countless new artistic ideas. This new popularity was largely sparked by Ignatius Donnelly's huge 1882 book Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. Donnelly, a U.S. congressman who taught himself a lot, carefully collected every existing reference and theory about Atlantis. He suggested it was the first mother civilization, the universal origin from which all ancient cultures, technologies, and myths around the world came. His work, although mostly ignored by mainstream academics, captured the public's imagination and deeply influenced generations of writers and thinkers. From Jules Verne's underwater discoveries in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, to Edgar Rice Burroughs' fantastical adventures inside the Earth's core, to the underwater kingdoms of Namor and Aquaman in comic books, to animated movies like Disney's Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and complex stories in video games such as Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the idea of Atlantis has been remade 1,000 times, each new version adding more wonder, bravery, sadness, and technological marvels to the myth. Beyond made-up stories, Atlantis became a central point for countless New Age beliefs and secret philosophies. In these spiritual traditions, Atlantis is often shown as a very spiritual and technologically advanced civilization. Its people supposedly used mystical crystals with strong energy for everything from powering their cities to healing and even traveling between different dimensions. Some believers think that huge records of Atlantean knowledge, stored in the spiritual Akashic field, a universal library of all cosmic and human experiences, can be reached by those with better spiritual awareness. Atlantis is often connected with other supposed lost continents, like Lemuria, often seen as an older, more spiritually pure land in the Pacific, or Mu, another Pacific continent, forming a complex picture of ancient, disappeared civilizations, each with its own mystical meanings and contributions to humanity's spiritual journey. There are even theories suggesting alien influence or direct contact as the reason for Atlantean advancement, suggesting that beings from other planets either guided their development or were themselves the ancestors of this legendary civilization. A strong idea woven through Atlantis theories is that the civilization didn't just disappear. Instead, its survivors supposedly escaped before the final disaster, spreading their advanced knowledge and wisdom across the globe. This survivor theory tries to explain strange similarities in ancient cultures worldwide, the common presence of pyramid-shaped buildings in Egypt, Central America, and other places, advanced knowledge of astronomy, techniques for building huge stone structures, and shared symbols. Could these similarities around the world be the scattered seeds of Atlantean wisdom carried by refugees who became the teachers of new civilizations? This theory often connects with the almost universal theme of global flood myths. Almost every ancient culture on Earth, from the Sumerians and the Epic of Gilgamesh to the Hebrew Bible's Noah's Ark to the myths of the Maya, Inca, and countless indigenous peoples, tells of a devastating flood that wiped out a corrupt or bad golden age of humanity. Could these be shared memories, broken and reinterpreted over time and space, of one single huge event, the dramatic fall of Atlantis, deeply marked on the collective human mind? This idea offers a powerful, though unproven, way to connect humanity's shared past.
Could Atlantis be a timeless warning, a cautionary tale from Plato, one that we, as a technologically advanced and often self-centered civilization, have not yet fully understood? Is it a serious warning about damaging our environment, letting technology grow without moral guidance, having huge social differences, and the harmful effects of moral decay? Perhaps Atlantis was a real historical place, a magnificent civilization that had a sad end. Perhaps it was purely a work of philosophical fiction, a powerful story made to teach timeless truths. But either way, Atlantis continues to exist, not mainly because its physical existence has been definitely proven, but because, on a deeper, more basic level, we need it. It is the shining dream of what humanity once was, the chilling warning of what we could become, and the deep question that can never truly be answered. Whether a simple tale or a forgotten truth, Atlantis remains a constant reminder that greatness, no matter how advanced, how powerful, or how seemingly unbreakable, is never safe from the constant march of time, nor, more importantly, from the natural flaws and self-destructive habits that exist within itself. It is a mirror showing our biggest hopes and our deepest fears, a testament to how myths powerfully shape our understanding of the past, our present, and our possible future.
We have walked through time, across deserts and jungles, among ruins swallowed by the earth, cities built with hands we'll never know, for gods we've forgotten, for reasons we still don't understand. Thank you for watching this video till the very last second. Please consider subscribing to this channel. These videos take a very long time to create, and your support helps keep these forgotten stories alive. And remember, not everything buried
stays lost.